Hey y'all, Sir Penguin here, and we are back, this time with a 2v2 between a few players that one player that I know that I'm a big fan of. He's a friend of mine, Msn.dk. He's gonna be playing in the blue on the Abbasid. And looking out across the map here, we've got a nice little 2v2 setup on Lipany. I think Lipany. I want to say Lipany, but there's only 2 cliffs. Though Team Lipany sometimes does this. It could be Dry Arabia, but I think there's too much cliff here. Anyway, we are looking at Msn.dk playing as the Abbasid. He's gonna do some standard Abbasid opening, and his teammate his teammate's in the red, my apologies. His teammate in the red, Big Milk, is going to be playing as the Roos. And Roos Abbasid is an interesting one. I think in 2v2s you end up sort of playing into the Archer Knight meta. And here you'll see that with the Roos and with the Abbasid timing. Abbasid's going to be strong on the infantry game in 2v2s and just strong on that big hit. Across from them on the other team, in pink, you have Lofes playing as, or Lofes, playing as the Ayyubids. Be in the pink Ayyubids. Pretty relatable. I like to be pink Abbasids, so, you know, I get it. I like the pink and purple, by the way, for Team 2, because in the purple, Brotato will be playing as the French. Now, I'd just like to point out here a couple of things. I don't know all the players here. Msn.dk, though, is top 100 Abbasid easily. Tournament level Abbasid player. Working on his other civs, I know for a fact. So we're going to see how he plays in teams. I haven't seen a ton of team games, and I know he's not particularly into team games. That's not usually his thing. So when I was looking through his recent games, I saw this and I went, oh, okay, we got an MSN team game. Let's see how this goes. I don't know Big Milk, I don't know Brotato and Loafs, but they're also all Conk 3, Conk 2, I believe, level team gamers. So this is going to be a fun game. I think there's going to be a lot of action. I'm mostly going to focus on Msn.dk's Abbasid build because I'm learning as we're getting in here. But I really do want to emphasize the fact that this is a really good team loadout. The only thing is, I feel like Team 2 is not going to have a strong enough archer in terms of like your archer power, especially with Abbasid getting composite bows and stuff like that. But Ayyubid France Knight Camel is a good way to shut down enemy cavalry, and then you can just ride around the enemy infantry. So I want to see how these two decide to play it out. Brotato gonna go up with the School of Cavalry, and we have Lofes going up with the military wings. You're gonna get Desert Raiders, you're gonna get tons of knights, and that's gonna be up against a Kremlin, so it'll be hard to push into Roos gold here, as Big Milk has decided to opt for that gold protection. I'm not sure if the aura reaches this lumber camp, but this is the Kremlin gets a pretty huge lumber camp boost aura, but maybe it should have been right here. I'm not sure. You can't. The Kremlin is a bit glitched in terms of viewing. You can't actually see its auras and stuff, or even its range. So we won't know for sure. Unless we see villagers drop off the 13 wood once the Kremlin is up. We have a nice little wall in the back, and these fortified palisades will be impossible for Ayyubids to break through. Maybe the French after a long burn. On the other side, Msn.dk is about to drop that military wing, and so what I think we're seeing here, where's the stone? Is going to be Msn.dk's 1TC aggression, 1TC all in. He's off the stone. Barracks coming up, so this is going to be to defend from early night pressure because he is across from the French player. And you see he's checking out. He wants to see what France is up to, and it looks like France is going for the deer, and he'll spot that in no time. Yeah, he comes out, he sees this. Let's see how Roos doing well on the bounty. Let's see how they're doing in terms of bounty. Wait. Oh. Red's Roos. 255. Okay, that's pretty okay for a 2v2. Not great, but good for a 2v2. Especially when your enemy is effectively scouting. We saw purple go ahead and scout out that wolf and things like that. The military wing, though, coming in here, they're going to take out a Vil on the gold, and that's going to be so annoying for French. And I like this. I need to practice this myself, which is getting that first little squad on French gold, because you can really shut down French early unit production. Like, you're going to stop a lot of knights from coming out here. If we look at purple, not enough gold to make more knights. 2 knights, though, in the queue. So not the worst situation. On the other side, we had a military wing. There it is. We've got a Desert Raider hitting Big Melk's villagers on their deer, which they went for in the back. So we have pressure on food coming to both teams on both sides. And this is the power of Abbasid and Ayyubid, is that military wing. A lot of the power comes from the early delay, because this is all you get as Abbasid and Ayyubid, but it's also quite strong. We have spears shutting down the knights on this side, and there's a lot of micro going on between these players. MSN is going to shut down that attack against him, and meanwhile, I'm just going to keep looking for some more Vils on the backside. We'll go ahead and follow this little squad here as it swings around. We have a couple of simultaneous 1v1s at this point, which happens a lot in your 2v2 team games early on. We'll start to see more team fights and stuff as the game progresses, and then we'll start looking more. France has their tower up on the gold, and they're going to secure that. It's going to be hard for Abbasid to push into, except that Abbasid has that free ram. So if Msn.dk banks up enough wood, I think we're destined to see, that ram's coming up on the tower. Meanwhile, Desert Raiders looking for something here on the back. We have a couple gremlins from the Kremlin coming to stop that aggression. But Msn.dk getting ready to crush this French player. Spears, archers, ready for action. Ram coming up. Not enough spears for these 2 knights on the back, though. MSN's forced to fall back with this other spear. Was there an all-army hotkey or something? No, just kind of missed that. See what's going on the other side here. We got Roos attacking Lofes. Big Melk going after Lofes gold. But again, we got another tower, so the aggression from Big Melk and MSN is really going to put Brotato and Lofes on the back foot here. A lot of wood coming out now. That's going to be a transition into archery ranges to shut down Abbasid aggression. And we love to see units in the ram avoiding that TC fire because there aren't enough units out yet. And this is the ram dance. The new ram dance, not the old ram dance. We're not doing circles around the ram here. We are kind of abusing almost. I say abusing. It's not really abusing, but using the power of the ram's defense against arrows. The villagers come out to shut down the ram, and it's not a horrible shutdown. Loses 1 Vil for that and manages to take out a few of these attacking Abbasid plus the ram. House burning, so that'll cost some wood to repair, but it looks like the repair coming out here. Meanwhile, some aggression still coming from these Desert Raiders on the backside. I wish we had the better viewing tool, but you need the game to be played with the better viewing tool mod on. So we are not so lucky in this instance. Castle Age coming out for Lofes. So we've got Ayyubid Castle Age into the Camel Lancer transition, just as you would expect. 16 units inside of that ram, and they're gonna finish off that house, finish what he started. That's going to be a lot worse for France here as the archers pick off some Vils. 1 Vil goes down. No other pressure. MSN's berries, meanwhile, are being harassed by Desert Raiders on the back, but we're going to focus on this aggression here as France doesn't really have an answer just yet. This is going to hurt. Lofes, however, going for those Camel Lancers, and Roos is kind of, I want to say they're a little behind here, trying to wall up, not looking at Castle Age. Single TC. There are some Roos Knights on the back, though. They have done some damage to the Ayyubids. It looks like they pushed them off their food. coming around to try to pick off some units of the French here, especially with the archer transition. And this is where you get the knight archer back and forth. You have a lot of archers here for Msn.dk, including the camel archer to reduce knight damage. And this is another reason Abbasid is very good in team games. You're gonna run into knights, camel lancers, all that kind of stuff, and the camel unease is gonna help a lot against things like French knights. But meanwhile, those camel lancers also do the unease to the Rus knights, so it's a little back and forth. And you're gonna see a lot more Abbasid and Ayyubid, I think, than you used to in team games. But MSN is an Abbasid main, so I think you would have played them regardless here. We're looking at a little combat. Camel Lancers versus the Rus Knights. A little dance here. And so far, I've liked this game for MSN. He's been raided a bit, and it's looked like another raid on the woodline while he's attacking on the other side. Oh, a lot of Vill's gonna go down here to the Camel Lancer. Oh, saved by the Rus. The Rus Knights swing in, and the Camel Lancers are forced to go elsewhere. Meanwhile, that push gonna get a little bit of damage in, gonna take out another house, maybe an archer and a villager or two. The spear's going down to the archers, and that might open the door. Well, France still not on any gold, so it's gonna be horseman archer for now, if any horseman at all. Just archers still for Brotato. Those camel lancers are back though. And this is the crazy thing about a 2v2 is trying to defend your base from a player that you're not watching. Msn.dk pops into the chat and says, "Mom, I'm on TV." But the big thing, what is Blue doing? Is he a noob or something? Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. You're you know, worlds better than I think I will ever be in this game, and I feel this. I feel this so bad. Meanwhile, the Rus are duking it out with those Ayyubid units, spears chasing here. And we have Knight Spear out for Rus now, and Rus is in a much more secure spot because the Ayyubids have been focusing the player who's sort of been in charge, Msn.dk here. Really, I think MSN has been in charge of the tempo this game with the Abbasid aggression against France, Abbasid aggression across the way, but we do have Ayyubid tempo causing some problems. 2 relics already in for Ayyubids and a 3rd on the way back. And there's only 7 relics here on the map for 2v2s. We see the 4 left over, 2 of them safely in the back of MSN and Big Milk's base. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. MSN doing a lot of the work, like I said, but we have knights and spears coming out across the way, and these knights have done a good job of zoning in the Ayyubids for what their part is in this. Archers trying to, ooh, we get a little peek. Looks like we see the dervish here, but MSN forced back by the camel lancers of Lofes. Lofes. Listen, I don't know, but we have good counter to those camel lancers as the knights and the spears push them back. Rus gonna chase them off, and Ayyubids now needs an answer for this aggression because we don't have a lot of units here for Ayyubids. The French archers have sort of snuck from base to base using this cliff, and I don't know if MSN and Big Milk know about this just yet, but this is really where the action is. There's some raids on the other side, just to keep in mind. Like, this is not the only place we have action here on the map, but I really want to focus on this area because this is a big make or break part of this battle. Those French archers are going to clear these Rus spears though. Big Milk not really, not ready for those archers. Like I said, they sort of snuck in behind, but Big Milk is able to raid France once again, and France is so delayed. France is really painfully delayed here. Now, MSN has started his push, taking out the mosque, which means those 3 relics, those 2 relics, 3 relics are now on the ground. Again, this is why I want that HUD. I want to see how many relics each team has, etc., etc. But anyway, MSN dives under the TC, goes across to the backside to put pressure onto this Ayyubid player, and Ayyubids don't have an answer for this. I think France and Ayyubids have been under way too much pressure. They've been able to raid on the other side, so I'm sure the villager count isn't horrible. But this is not looking great for your team 2, for Brotato and Lofes here. They're trying to push this back. Meanwhile, though, Lofes still doing a good job collecting those relics. That's a 4th relic off the map. So regardless of if these relics are secured, they are on this side of the map. So as long as Brotato and Lofes hang on here, they can still secure the relics. That being said, there are not a lot of units left here for Lofes to defend the base, but the TC stays up. Villagers managed to take out the Rams, it looks like, on that backside. The units of Team 2 forced back, and MSN is just on top of the resources here. Like I said, not looking great for Team 2. Lofes still has a good chunk of villagers, but is not going to enjoy all the idle time. Gonna get back to the TC just in time, away from those knights. What's going on over here? Tons of villagers from the Ayyubid have idled on the other player's base. Not sure what the plan is here, but you know, Pink Lofes is so busy dancing around here. There's not a lot of time to think about what to do with this big chunk that is 20 idle for a long time because of this push. So MSN buys a lot of time here and also sets up a long-term push for Big Milk. Big Milk coming in with a follow-up. We got more Camel Lancers coming out. But finally, the wood for these units on the back. Got the Dervish doing their thing. So if we get another Mosque up for Lofes, he could secure some gold by getting getting those relics in. But frankly, I don't know how you kind of get away with it. Is it just a second base over here? Knights still duking it out. Lots of Camel Lancers moving out. I want to see how France reacts to all this. They would probably manage to get their gold, or they went for another gold? They're going for another gold. We have some of the eco up here, of course, but not as helpful as it could be. Yeah, no gold still in for France. Enough for like maybe a couple knights here. MSN's food getting harassed on the other side, and I think this is the real delay, right? Is Ayyubids have done a good job not only staying like alive to some degree against this attack, but actually managing to delay the attack from the other side by putting pressure onto food, putting pressure onto gold, things like that on the backside. Yeah, MSN agrees with me here in my Twitch chat, actually, saying the raid is what kept him alive. He killed a lot of villagers. And yeah, you can see that. You can really see the value of the Camel Lancer when you take care of it. But this micro has also cost Pink a lot because there's been a lot of idle time on the backside, time repairing TCs. It doesn't feel good, I think, for Lofes here. Brotato has a pretty secure base now, though. Lots of production, so not gonna go down as easily as it seems to the Rus Abbasid push, because you have the trash units out for Abbasid, as you expect. But if you can get enough trash out for France, it's a fairly even playing field. My big question, we do have boot camp coming in now. I actually was wondering, will we have boot camp for MSN? Is this going to be a longer feudal? And looking at the eco, yeah, it looks like boot camp, perhaps some blacksmith upgrades coming in now because the blacksmith has just gone up. Meanwhile, Rus has completely walled out their base. And this tends to happen at this level of team games. It's kind of a funky world because you have to worry about 2 people attacking you, or like, yeah, this extra Ayyubid thing while you're fighting on the front. And that's the angry and furious world of 2v2. How do you stay alive while being able to counterattack? What is your teammate doing to help you do that? And here we have a pretty big mass preparing to push into France, but France, again, like I said, Brotato is not in the worst spot here with all of these units. You got Archer, Spear, Knights. There are a lot of Knights for Rus, though, and again, Spears for the Abbasid player with that trash army. I'm gonna pay attention here on the back. Looks like MSN has gone for a second TC to bring that villager count back up after all of those camel raids. We have archers opening up on the spears, and if the archers can shut the spears down, no, goes straight into the French ruse spears of the knights. So it's just spear archer here for France. Where are the Ayyubids? We have a mangonel coming in the back. These spears have to stay alive. There's not a ton of archers here for MSN, but just enough to really shut down the French spears. Now, France is relying entirely on these archers, and yeah, where's the help from Ayyubids? It just feels like a 2v1 each time these players go in for an attack. Tons of ruse pushing on the French player. Ayyubids, again, like, not really anywhere to be seen here. Oh, looks like we have a little bit of Ayyubid cutting off the back. The mangonel on the archers is going to force this back. This mangonel making a huge difference because Rus here has completely given up the first army, the front army. MSN forced to fall back with what's left of the archers, and France holds. And honestly, quite an impressive hold given the circumstances. Does a good job of using the choke points with the archers. But as we've noted, there is a double TC for MSN. There is a good follow-up here, I think, for Abbasid. More raids coming out for Ayyubid. Can France come back? And the big question is, can Ayyubids secure enough resources? I think the big thing for Ayyubids is the 4-5 relics we have on that other side of the map. Looks like 4. Yeah, 4 relics for Ayyubids, which is going to help them sort of keep their eco up in this game. We finally have another Castle Age. That Castle Age is going to come in for Rus, and that's why we didn't see the biggest push from those units. Honestly, the timing probably not ideal for the Rus player. And listen, I don't mean to be rude to a player who would kick my ass, but this high trade house makes my heart hurt. How many? 57 per minute on this high trade house. Not a ton of trees coming in for Big Milk here. That hurts. That hurts really bad. Oh man. And Rus just not able to get out on the map because of all those camel lancers. So Rus just not in an ideal spot here, despite the Castle Age. We do have Castle Age coming in through for Msn.dk, so that's going to be an eco wing. And we like that eco wing as Abbasid because what that really allows is by that 20-minute mark, if we haven't gathered all the 2v2 resources, we will soon. And you can see these berries are getting annihilated now by MSN. Once those berries are gone, this last berry bush as well, with all the camel lancers on the map, the eco wing is going to be really nice for that farm transition, the late farm transition. Meanwhile, Ayyubids, wow. Yeah, no, MSN pointed this out in the chat. Ayyubids on the other side has gone for 3 TCs. So Lofes decides, I need to get back into this game. And that's not a bad play. Like, if you're behind, like this Ayyubid player has been, and you force back an enemy attack, like with this mangonel, this triple TC is expensive, but it brings you back into the game. This is your ticket in, because you're already Castle Age. If you can get Castle Age, you're gonna hopefully, you know, present some more villagers here. But you know, we'll see what happens. The hard part for now for Team 2 is that they have to come back. They are behind. Like, don't get me wrong. I made some jokes about the Rus player over here. Made some jokes about the Camel Lancers, but ultimately Team 2 is behind. This 3 TC is the goal to get back ahead. That's how you get back ahead. France not doing a terrible job with the villager count. And that's going to be, thankfully, mostly to the French fast TC. Especially with, I think we should see a Castle Age soon, but not enough gold just yet. No, there it is. Okay, I was wrong. Royal Institute coming up for France. So this is going into a full castle fight now. Gotta take a drink. This is a long match. A lot going on here. 2v2s are so much harder, I think, to cast than 1v1s. Because 1v1s, you could just be like, all right, this unit has this type of stats, and this one is it. And in 2v2s, you're like, and there's a fight over here, and MSN's out on the map, and over here we've got Rus doing silliness. You know, like, I don't know. But we're looking here as MSN moves out. going to try to take the middle of the map here. Use the Castle Age to get some, you know, map control. Meanwhile, Roos banking a lot of resources. Are we looking at an Imperial? Like a fast... Well, I was about to say fast Imperial, but we are at the 24-minute mark. That being said, the Castle Age was late for everybody in this game, except for Ayyubids, which is kind of what you'd expect in this matchup, especially with France running around. France and Ayyubids don't mind that long, you know, or Ayyubids. Abbasid doesn't mind that long feudal because your trash is good and you can make a lot of it, but it is a long feudal and it hurts if you don't get there. So we do have that timing now coming through for everybody. And now this match is back to the drawing board. You know, the Pink is having has had a lot of time here to build back their unit count. You know, I think MSN kind of trying to figure out what's going on with Big Milk here. Big Milk trying to figure out what's going on with MSN. And there seems to be a little bit of a lack of communication on who the attack is going to go towards and what the next goal is. But with that being said, Big Milk on the way to join. Upgrades through for MSN, and this push is coming. This wooden wall not long for this world as the Ghulams come out to burn it down. Not a ton of upgrades in terms of military upgrades for MSN here. Roos just absolutely rolling in upgrades meanwhile. We probably have more eco upgrades for MSN here. As Abbasid, you can get those eco upgrades pretty fast before you get into your Castle Age. This is a great push now. Archers and Arbaletrier trying to hold that Pink army all foot. Gonna be a little slow to revive France here. And another 2v1 push into, well, I want to say damage, but most of these pushes are really just killing the armies. And that's good damage, like, don't get me wrong. Purple's behind again. But now we have that Pink army coming through. Ayyubids from the top rope with the Mangonel. And my guess is this is a bit of a surprise for Team 1, because they did so much damage to Ayyubids. You would expect, at the very least, that Ayyubids would be a little behind. But this army mass is a result of that 2-3 TC comeback. And so I think there's a big issue in this game of communication between Pink and Purple, because Pink's in a good spot. Scouting could have been better. They should have known that it was going to be a 2v1 coming in here. Their army should have been reacting. And it wasn't, not really. So that's a big part of teamwork and working together. I don't know if they're solo queuing into teams or what, and you know, you don't assume. And we gotta love, this must be composite bow, Abbasid archers. We'll go check. Yep, composite bow, Abbasid archers with the castle timing. Gonna push back the crossbows of the Ayyubids. Ghulams, not gonna be a bad counter to this, but watch, this fast archer firing can do okay against these armored units. That being said, there's a lot for Pink here, who now has defender's advantage. Closer to Purple than, you know, MSN is. And so this fight coming around a little corner. We do have some Springolds out to shut down any more Mangonels. And Pink's forced back once again because there is a big mass of archers here for MSN. This archer mass, a few crossbows mixed in to take out the Ghulams. I think we probably see more crossbows coming across, but yeah, it's mostly going to be archers for now. Saving up for upgrades. Oh, MSN pointed out they are a team, so Brotato and Lofes play together. This is a team I'm not familiar with, which is out of my character. I usually know a lot of the high-tier teams, but I don't know Brotato and Lofes that well. Anyway, this fight coming out here, it's still a bit of a 2v1 as each time these fights come, it's one army or the other. Like, France, don't go in, because if you go in now, you're gonna die. So Brotato waiting. There's the patience. This is the patience you want. Waiting for that second army to come in, saving the trade. And you know what? This Pink trade came in a while ago, and I did not see it. But that's a lot of trade. going all the way across the back of the map. Gonna use that to try to recover. And so the eco here for Pink is not bad. Pink is like really in a pretty strong spot, and like I said, has done an excellent job recovering from that early damage. And I think anybody who's played Ayyubids or Abbasid knows that's possible. You know, finally we have a nice little timing where France and Ayyubids are pushing together, Lofes and Brotato, but there's not enough here. MSN, little too dominant with the Archer Mass. Plenty of units here for Big Milk at first to push back this once again. And we have Imperial Age for Big Milk. It's going to be this Baskaya drop into the French base. Missed that as it came through, but all these spears loading in to give it that arrow fire. Although the arrow fire is just going straight into the lumber camp. There it goes. Some looking for the Vils coming out of the TC. MSN, meanwhile, pushing across into Loaf space. And often in team games, like, if a lot of people watching this will go, okay, it's GG. Like, MSN is in, Big Milk dropped this fast Kaya on France's base. But this is the beauty of team games. This game's not over yet. And clearly, you know, MSN has taken a beating here from just fighting for so long in the enemy base. And there's more units on the way. But Ayyubids has bought themselves more time. And France has bought themselves more time. Farms gathering in the back. We've got Men-at-Arms and Arbaletrie, which are going to be really good against the Knight Spear combo. And actually going to be pretty effective against the Archer combo as well. One thing to note about the Arbaletrie that makes them quite useful in these types of battles is the Pavis. The Pavis definitely... ooh, my goodness. While this fight was going on, by the way, we had some archers on the trade line from MSN cutting off a ton of these traders. Thank you for pointing that out. Again, MSN pointing out the things I'm missing. Appreciate that. And yeah, here he comes with the archers now. Gonna counter into this. Just sort of putting pressure on. Is this a miscue though? Looks like a little bit of a miscue. Maybe some movement to try to catch some stuff out. But this is now the stomping ground. Bruce building siege out of this. I mean, it looks like it's going to be bombards. I like a good bombards play into France at this stage because they want to get keeps up, and a bombard or two really going to make that a lot easier for this push. The Rus Imperial Age is going to be a problem for France because these elite knights now can ride past pretty much everything that's back here, and there's no army back here. So France not going to be happy about this push on the back, and this game is really starting to look over. I mentioned that the game wasn't over quite yet. These kinds of things, you know, not just this push alone, but the ability to have gotten to this point where that push can come in and you have a setup on the back where your opponent can't get imp. If Brotato goes imp, he dies. If Lofes goes imp, he dies. So now what we have is going to be MSN going for Imperial as well with the trade wing on the back. So if this game goes long, despite being able to clear all of the middle gold, MSN will have trade to fill up all those gold losses. Bruce has passive gold until they need to trade in the late game alongside other gold sources like the middle gold. And here comes that push. And now, generally, I yell chat about pushing while aging up, but with such a dominant position here, it doesn't really matter. We're cutting off resources, we're cutting off the trade, and again, cutting off this trade is going to make it Lofes' job of bringing Brotato back into this game a lot harder. These archers are in such huge mass that Lofes has to wait, and he doesn't wait long enough. And if you wait too long, your French teammate dies. So there's not enough villagers really left here for France either. Men-at-Arms going to come to counter this. I don't hate French Men-at-Arms, but I don't think they have enough upgrades here to deal with the Abbasid Archer mass. working together, gonna try to clear that out, get the trade back up, but yeah, not enough on the front either. Lofes just doesn't have enough to come back into this because France doesn't have anything. And this game is, you know, it's not looking, I don't think our Team 2 is long for this world. I do not think it is long for this world, especially with this pressure on the traders in the end here. This is how you end one of these 2v2s that goes late like this. If you can get on the trade, you can end these games because that means you have map control. What's that? A couple of Camel Lancers trying to raid across the map. I don't think that's gonna be enough there, Lofes, but I like the idea. I'm gonna run out of those archers, but archers are basically free at this point of the game. We got all this production in the front. We got Imperial out for Team 1. And yeah, like I said, team games tend to go a little longer because team players like to hang on, right? You're like, oh, well, Pink hasn't been harassed that much in a long time, so they're probably okay. But a lot of these traders, like I said, went down, and Pink only has 2 little itty-bitty gold mines in their base. Isn't gathering them. Honestly, I think Lofes, you gotta move over to this gold to try to stay in this, especially with the trade interrupted. That being said, Lofes has a good sort of bucket of gold to work with for now. Especially because of, let's note, 4 relics. 5 relics. Got the 5th one over there. But yeah, again, the team games go a little long because you feel like your teammate can help you. And sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. But it would require a big throw from either MSN or Big Milk here. One of them would have to throw quite hard for France to come back. I was gonna say, that's a little bit of a throw. Losing the bombards, having the units out, but there really just aren't enough red units to defend this. There they go. Streltsy Spear, that end game Roost combo coming out to deal with the Camel Lancers. It's pretty good against Camel Lancer crossbow too, because I think one thing a lot of players forget is the crossbow doesn't get bonus damage against spears. So that's just, you know, 13 flat, or 12 base, but 13 total damage against spearmen. Spearmen don't have good pierce resistance, which is notable, but they're not taking the, you know, extra 9 damage those heavy units will be taking. And that's just like a weird little nitpick about crossbows. Not nitpick, a weird little note about crossbows. It's good to go into spears because they're not gonna be, they're gonna actually take less damage than men-at-arms against crossbows. And you see Roos doing that. Men-at-arms still aren't bad here because the other big thing about men-at-arms and crossbows, we're just gonna go into this conversation because with this mass here, I think, like I said, I don't think Team 2's long for this world. But these crossbows, the biggest problem, like when you are against armor, is that if there's a lot of armor, say 35 Ghulams for instance, and you have, say, 40 crossbows, technically the crossbows should shred through them, technically. But you have to micro. And if you don't micro the crossbows, you lose a lot. And the trade is almost, it's not even, it's almost even. It's almost even. Yeah, you see the damage come out, but look, if you're just hanging out, these Ghulams are gonna tear you up, especially with the archer support. Because what are you shooting at? The Ghulams. Meanwhile, your archers are gonna start tearing them up. We got bombards on the keep, and that is, there's no way this game goes longer than that. I guess they, you know, you need to get back on the trade again as the attacker. But you're in the base now, you know, as the attacker, so gonna feel pretty confident in this position. And there goes the GG. That's about right. As France and Brotato and Lofes are going to call it there. And that was a fun game. I think that was a good game. You know, Lofes did a really good job of staying in the game with raids. MSN did a good job of putting pressure onto both players to the point that he bought his Roost teammate time to build up. And so that's GG's. And well played by Team 1. Well played by Lofes at the very least for Team 2. But the French player hung on like pretty well for a long time. Brotato, nice job. And between all of those gaming, Big Milk, just work on the high trade house. I don't even know what it's doing there. No, again, I'm just giving a hard time. But good job, Team 1. Good job. And if you enjoyed that video, like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.